told y'all. Bad Mike told you time and time again.
All right, people, your boy Man Mike coming at you guys with a quick little take. Um, if you guys what's going on, John? How you doing, bro? Jamie, what's going on? How you doing? Mr. 58 himself, Keyshawn Vlad. Um, what's going on? We have the AFN regulators coming up real soon in about 30 minutes or so. Give a quick take on a poll that I put out today and kind of want to get my thoughts on this particular poll. Kind of dive into, the reasons as to why I put the poll out. Because we're going to talk about, all right, so here is the poll in itself, all right? So I want to kind of give everybody's thoughts on this, all right? This was about 1,100 votes or so, so it was a quite thorough poll carried out of 1,100 people. So everybody voted and they left a ton of freaking comments. And I thought it was really interesting just the dialogue on in the comment section. You have the dialogue within the had quite a few people actually hit me up about this poll, to be honest. And one more announcement before I get into that. If you guys are headed to training camp for the Atlanta Falcons on the 26th, right? If you're headed to the training camp on the 26th, you guys hit myself up. 6-man K-Styles, one. Maggie, hit us up. Let us know if you're going to be there. Like I said, we'll have all our devices there. So you guys, if you are there and you guys want to kind of, sit around, talk to us, it's going to be hot as hell out there. But be sure that you guys reach out to us. It's going to be a long day. We're going to get out there about, close to about, I believe it opens up around 7 or 8, somewhere in there, but you'll be able to, I think training camp opens somewhere around 10 o'clock. So if you guys get out there and you see us out there, man, and if you don't, decode me what's going on. If you don't see us out there, like I said, just hit us up so we can meet. So you'll be able to meet some of us out there if you haven't already. All right. But this poll was very interesting. Like I said, for a number of reasons. And one of the main reasons, as we see here, all right, I posed a question where it said you have the first overall pick in the NFL draft. Who are you drafting? And I didn't want to get specific and put any guidelines on it because I want to get everybody's genuine opinion on this. And I was kind of genuinely surprised at this. Genuinely surprised at this. I wasn't taken off guard, but I was surprised at the poll. And I was surprised at the poll because you see one thing. People show right here that it's not even close who they prefer. It really isn't close. Falcons fans say one thing about that they are down for the team and they down for the players and they down for this, but they say one thing, but you see the polls when your name can't be placed on it, the truth comes out. And there's probably some people right here in this chat right now that are saying one thing, but they voting another way. They saying one thing, but they voting another way. And I think this is a perfect example of that. Um, and again, this poll says if you have the first overall pick in the NFL draft, who are you taking? You need a quarterback. You want a quarterback. And you have Mike Vick, Michael Penix Jr., and the Atlanta Falcons legend, allegedly, Matt Ryan. Knowing what you know about all of these guys, knowing what you know about all of these guys, what's going on? I am letting. So knowing what you know about all of these guys, okay, that's the conversation right now. You guys, if you did vote, give the reason as to why you voted. Um, whomever you voted. Greatly appreciate, like I said, doing a little live before the regulator just started on the Atlanta Falcon Nation with the host himself, Mr. Magnus. Um, but give me reason as to why you voted for these people. He says Michael Penix, Night Whisper, what's going on, brother? I picked Matty Ice. Um, so an astounding and an outstanding overall majority of this fan base. And y'all wonder why we have our take on this. You wonder why we say the things that we say, and this is what this is exactly why the Atlanta Falcons fan base are constantly picked on. This is why the Atlanta Falcons fan base is constantly, clown. Because we say one thing, we say we want to win, we say that we support all of our guys, but in actuality, you see the proof in here. Falcons fans say a whole bunch of bullshit, but they really don't mean any of it. This is once again proof that you have no reason to say that you actually want to win and you want to have the best players. This is another one of them situations where you're looking at a scouting report, um, you're looking at athletic ability and say, I'm drafting this guy because of that. There was an over, and I'm talking about, look, this is 60% of 1,000 people. Just think about that for a second. 60% of 1,000, 1,100 people that voted on this, and 60% of this fan base said Michael Vick. Knowing what they know about Michael Vick, knowing what they know about Michael Penix, knowing what they know about Matt Ryan. You're talking about 29% of this fan base that voted on this, and all of these people said this. 60% of the people said Michael Vick. D. Coleman, the comment here. D. Coleman says, I didn't vote on this poll, but if I had a blank slate with all three quarterbacks, what we know about all three, I'd pick Vic too and try to develop him more as a passer. And see, this is exactly, I love you to death, but this is what I mean by knowing what you know about Vic. Is this really about winning? Is this really about the quarterback and the success of a team? I love you, D. Coleman, but this is what I mean when we talk about the hypocrisy and what we know and what we feel. Knowing what you know about Mike Vick, okay, we're gonna play this game. Knowing what we know about Mike Vick, that he isn't a guy that isn't serious about the playbook. And this is your statement. So in no way, shape, or form am I kind of misconstrue what is being said, because this is your statement. Knowing what we know about all three, I pick Vic too and try to develop him. Knowing that he did not study the playbook. Knowing that he could run fast and he's explosive. Now, we can say if he was drafting a Mike Vick at this point, knowing that the guy wouldn't take the quarterback and being a leader seriously, knowing that a Michael Penix Jr. was going to sit because a lot of people, the injuries, the, him being at a time where, things are a little bit differently, knowing that you have a Kirk Cousins at the helm, knowing all these types of things, I can see why Michael Penix is not one of those guys, because obviously he still has a ways to go. But knowing what we know about Matt Ryan, that he's a leader amongst leaders, knowing if you give him weapons, he's going to make it work. How do I know this? You got Roddy White. He made the best out of a Roddy White. He made the best out of a Muhammad Sanu, a guy that was essentially a fourth receiver. In Cincinnati, he come to Atlanta. He's one of the best number two receivers in the league. I bet one of the better overall receivers in the league. And I'm talking about blocking, all the nuances of the wide receiver positions. Muhammad Sanu is one of the most complete. Knowing that you had a Julio Jones. And Julio Jones is perhaps one of the most talented wide receivers to ever play the game. That Matt Ryan didn't slack off or have any slack. That guys like Taylor Gabriel, who was essentially thrown away as garbage with teams like the Cleveland Browns. They threw him away like he was nothing. And Matt Ryan came, put him in a position where he can get paid, which ultimately he did. I believe he got a contract, signed with a contract with the Chicago Bears, if I'm not mistaken. But knowing what Matt Ryan has done, and a Michael Vick that did not take the position lightly, and that would be a transitional period where he would have to go through certain hardships to finally get the love of the game. You would, essentially what you're saying, what a lot of people are saying by voting Michael Vick, that you don't care about the fact that he went to jail. You don't care about the fact that he was, essentially a quarterback that, had all the talent in the world, but you were willing to put everything on the line for him because of a bunch of what ifs. We're willing to give people with a lot of talent, and I'm talking about God-given talent because that's what Michael Vick is. He's a guy that has a bunch of God-given talent. But the things that matters most in NFL is about confidence. What matters most about quarterbacks and players is the confidence to work hard, the willingness to work hard, spend days, hours, sometimes weeks on your craft. When everybody else is sitting at home, going out, going on vacations, guys like Kobe Bryant is spending 4 or 5 hours every day, twice a day, working their asses off. That doesn't matter because of a guy's total overall skills. None of that matters. Keyshawn says Matt Ryan because he has history of winning, putting up big time numbers. He also won almost every quarterback award that could be won. And see, this is why I'm having this conversation because there's when it comes down to fans, it's like we don't look at the things that we should be looking at. We're blown away by this person's skills. We're blown away by their aura. And the thing that matters most, guys like Tom Brady spent hours, days. He spent a lot of money working on his body. These things are not highlighted when we talk about Tom Brady, Drew Brees, how Drew Brees tore up his shoulder, rehabbed it, got himself, had to recreate his throwing motion, all these types of things to be successful. How Matt Ryan was essentially going to go to a school like Georgia Tech because he had the ability to not only throw, but he had the ability to run. And at times, he did showcase that with the Atlanta Falcons. But the thing with these guys, like a Patrick Mahomes, for example, they wanted to recreate his throwing motion because he had bad motions. And he still does to this. He still does things wrong. But these guys got in the lab, they learned the offense. Guys like Aaron Rodgers, blown away by the skills. But one thing about Aaron Rodgers, he got in the fucking gym. He worked his ass off. He took these long, weird ass vacations where he got his mind right, got his body right. These are the things that make great quarterbacks. It's not the overall skills and the God given talent that make these quarterbacks. And again, these are the things that we know about these guys right now. Matt Ryan has won every quarterback award. Damn near every quarterback award that has to be won. He's done it. And you see here that this guy's still getting 29% of the votes from Falcons fans. And there may be some other guys out there because we have people that's, they are members of this channel that not necessarily just solely Falcons fans. But when you have these things right here, when you see the numbers behind it, like Whisper said, he picked the Iceman because of the numbers. And Speaker P said if Vic didn't get in trouble and actually had a good coaching staff around him to develop him like Andy Reid, well, that's hard. That's bullshit. I'm gonna tell you why that's bullshit. He had all of that. Mike Vick had Greg Knapp, one of the better quarterback. Like this goes, look, man. I want y'all to really go back and look at what Greg Knapp has done under his belt. We got to stop this bullshit. Playing Vic didn't have good coaches. Darren Reeves is one of the best coaches in NFL fucking history. How do you as a coach and an offensive coach? Dan Reeves was a running back / fullback himself. So how does Vic did not have when you got Greg Knapp? We had some of the best quarterback coaches under him. Greg Knapp is one of the greatest quarterback coaches, fundamental, understands the position, all of this. He's right up there. Just look at the resume. Greg Knapp has been with Denver. Greg Knapp has been with San Francisco. He's been with guys like John Elway to help develop guys like John Elway, and um, Steve Young, and all these guys. Like, he's helped develop these quarterbacks. These are legendary quarterbacks, and Greg Knapp was right there. If you know anything about Greg Knapp, this comment right here would never come out of your mouth that he did not have a good quarterback and coaching staff. He had all of that. Dan Reeves took a Jamal Anderson, someone that nobody really wanted. Nobody really wanted this guy. He took scrubs. He took guys like Chuck Smith. He helped take guys like Chuck Smith. Now, Bill Kohler and all those guys, defensive guys. But Dan Reeves was one of these guys that understood talent. He knew exactly. Dan Reeves was the one that believed in Michael Vick. Dan Reeves was the one that said, this is the future of the NFL. This is why I always get so pissed off when people look at when they say the Atlanta Falcons is a poverty franchise. I say bullshit, because everything that we're doing right now in the NFL is because of the Atlanta Falcons. The Atlanta Falcons were one of the teams, along with Houston Oilers, that were running the run and shoot, quote unquote, spread offense. They were doing that in the 80s and 90s. All of the things that we're seeing right now with this in the NFL, the Atlanta Falcons were already doing it. Go look at the highlights of Craig Ironhead Haywood lining up behind the quarterback, besides the quarterback, and the shotgun running on. They were running the same concepts. This is what Jerry Glanville and Dan Reeves, these guys were doing all of that. Dan Reeves was the one, okay? Dan Reeves was the one that created, or to help create, the receiving tight end. Guys like Shannon Sharp. And I said help because guys like Mark Bavaro, Kellen Winslow, like those guys were doing it. Mike Dicker. He helped bring that back to modern day football and what we're seeing. He's the one that told Mike Shanahan, hey, I think this Shannon Sharp guy gonna be pretty good. Dan Reeves is the guy that said we need to redefine the quarterback position. We need to draft Michael Vick. I believe this guy's going to be a damn good quarterback. So to say that Michael Vick never had great coaching is just not accurate at all. Sam, what's going on? It's a true example of what I have said about the fan base. They hate the truest quarterback we've ever had. I mean, we don't know. I think without guidelines and knowledge of how. I mean, I was just basing that off your statement. I wasn't saying there was any guideline, because that poll was, and my objective with this particular poll was to see how Falcons fans would think and what's their reasoning behind it. And based off your statement and what you said, D. Coleman, you said what we know. And if you did vote, you would have voted Vic. So I'm only basing this off you guys' statement. And everybody has their own statement. But when we talk about what we know about these guys, because I could have easily put a guideline and say, all right, you have the first overall pick, you have another quarterback, and this quarterback is a mobile quarterback, and he's been pretty successful. Which quarterback are you taking? Matt Ryan, Mike Penix, or Mike Vick? Now that completely changes the dynamic. So I didn't want to put, you know, a guideline on this particular poll because I wanted to see how everyone thought. And I think these are the things when we talk about what we know about Michael Penix right now, what we know about Mike Vick, what we know about Matt Ryan. I'm still blown away by the 60% of the people that are voting for Mike Vick. All of this based on what we know. But I am voting Junebug. I'm living in the present, not the past. Support the logo first. All right, so you say what we know about picking Matt Ryan without context, I'm picking Vic. Okay. B Peeps, what's going on, bro? Like I said, we about to go on. The regulator just getting y'all warmed up for the regulators. AFN, y'all already know the channel. Magnus, I don't know what they got. I haven't looked at it yet. So check that out. I'm looking at the Philly. I'm looking at the Philly Vic from Philly, not the Atlanta version. I picked Vic with the correct development. I mean, the thing with that, the Philly Vic, it didn't last but 2 3 years. It didn't last but 2 to 3 years, and it's not like they won a Super Bowl or anything. You know, they was pretty good, but you know, now if you're talking about the Philly Vic, if you're gonna be start to finish, I can understand that, but like even that Philly Vic from start to finish wasn't what Matt Ryan did. Now, if you're talking about how you building your team speaking piece, now I can understand it. Now, if you're saying, all right, this is the style of quarterback, the style of offense that I'm building, I can see why you would say Mike Vick. So let's try to be a little bit more specific into why you're taking these guys, because we're in the draft room and you got these three quarterbacks right here. It's me. All right. Let's pretend I'm Terry Fontenot. I'm off the blank. You got to be able to sell me on drafting Mike Vick. You got to be able to sell me Michael Penix and Matt Ryan. Because if you're building a team and you're going to be throwing the ball, then Mike Vick is the last quarterback you're taking. Now, if you're building the offense like the Michael Vick and Matt Ryan, but the Michael Vick, Warwick Dunn, TJ Duckett, now you're taking Michael Vick overall, and that makes Matt Ryan the last guy. Maybe even Michael Penix last because of his injuries. So be specific, you guys. Just try to be specific and why you're saying the things that you are. Because again, if we're talking about these guys just being a quarterback and a certain style, um, like I said, I don't think anybody in any style of offense that isn't that a guy outside of the quarterback position that you can use, get a few yards. Like, even, let's be honest, nobody thought that Matt Ryan would be able to have the athleticism to play in a Kyle Shanahan offense. Kyle Shanahan offense needs and has to have a quarterback that has the ability to move around and run those rollouts and run those bootlegs and run those motions. You need that from him. This guy, Matt Ryan, he won an MVP in a mobile quarterback system. And these are the things when we talk about actual success and actual systems. There's very few quarterbacks in the league you can say that have been in every system and this guy's put up big numbers. And Matt Ryan has done exactly that. That Kyle Shanahan offense needs a quarterback that has the ability to move around in the pocket, use his leg. And he did that. See, and this is why we got to get specific, and this is why I go in detail when we talk about schemes. Can Mike Vick stand in the pocket and deliver a pass consistently? Statistics show that when he has to stay in the pocket and deliver the quarterback, he's never had anything over 65%. And standing in the pocket and delivering. But when you move around and allow Mike Vick to do his thing, then this is what happens. No, like I said, this is see when you say stuff about speaking piece. When we talk about actual, see, this poll is based on who are you taking, what we know about these guys. We know that Mike Vick is Mike Vick. We know that Michael Penix, for the most part, is him. We know that Matt Ryan is a Hall of Famer, and we're neglecting. There's a serious lack of there's a serious issue of neglect of Matt Ryan based on what we know. This guy's put up 60,000 yards passing, and everybody, 60% of the fan base said Mike Vick. 60% of the fan base said Mike Vick. Let's think about that for a second. Knowing that we know that Matt Ryan is going into the Hall of Fame, whether that's first ballot, second ballot, we don't know. But knowing what we know about Matt Ryan, knowing that we've seen 60,000 yards passing, we're still choosing Mike Vick that hasn't had even 30, 35, not even 40,000 yards total in his career. Is that not alarming to everyone? I mean, and the thing is, what Brian Peeps is saying, even Mike Vick is saying these things, and you're saying that Mike Vick has never had a good quarterback, a good coaches. That's not true at all. It's not true whatsoever. Mike Vick had a great supporting cast. The crazy part about this, we drafted a quarterback in Matt Sharp. He came in because Vick kept getting hurt, and he put up some tremendous performances in the absence of Vick. And that's why they ended up trading him to Houston, and he ended up being the starter and put up some damn good numbers himself throughout his career. Under the same coaching staff. The same coaching staff developed Matt Sharp. And then he was traded to Houston off his potential. So we can't say that the Falcons and Michael Vick didn't have a coaching. That's just not true whatsoever. But what's going on? I mean, mostly we know that what it is when it comes down to Mike Vick. We know this mostly on rushing yards. And prior to Lamar Jackson, he was the number one rushing quarterback. Cam Newton, Mike Vick, Lamar Jackson, Steve Young, like those guys are the top four, top five. But we know that. But like this is the reason why we talking about this issue. There's a major issue with this Atlanta Falcons fan base, and us Atlanta Falcons fans can't be trusted based on this poll. So if this is your opinion and you say that you want to win and you want a successful quarterback that's going to be a leader and he's going to lead men, I don't know how you can pick Mike Vick because he did none of that. even in a space as I close it, because we got the regulators coming up. But even if you're saying I'm building a offense where the quarterback is going to be the center of attention, the quarterback is going to be a mobile quarterback. That system is even dangerous because we saw with Mike Vick in Atlanta, he got hurt a hell of a lot in his first 5 years with the team. He got injured a hell of a lot. So there's a risk. So if you're taking Mike Vick, that means you have to have a backup quarterback because he's already shown you that he can't stay healthy. And like I said, these are just, we'll go probably deeper into this later on, but 60% of Atlanta Falcons fan base said Mike Vick if they had the number one overall pick. Knowing what they know about each one of these players is absolutely, it's baffling. 60% of the fan base that said they know football, 60% of this Atlanta Falcons fan base said Mike Vick. And you wonder why. Some people say stupid. Some people say dumb motherfuckers. Some people say moronic or just downright ignorant. 60% of this Atlanta Falcons fan base in this poll said, I'm taking Mike Vick over Mike Penix and Matt Ryan, knowing what we know about these guys. It tells me that the NFL has become college recruiting. We don't care about nothing, their abilities, their morals. They don't care about their ability to be a leader. They don't care about their willingness to learn a playbook. You care nothing about that. As long as a guy is an incredible athlete, we have to take this. We have to take these guys. And that, my friends, is more important. So with that being said, head over to Atlanta Falcon Nation. Appreciate everybody for joining us. But this won't be the end of it. So speak your piece, come back, leave some questions in there, comments in there for everybody who's known. But head over to Atlanta Falcon Nation right now. I may or may not join, but if you head over to Atlanta Falcon Nation, they're gonna have a topic for us. So that's the bottom line, because Mad Mike said so. I'm out.
Put your eyes back in your head.
I got like flavor. What me do?
Pry their eyes open and force them to see the truth. We will skin the sheep and sacrifice the weak. The unholy alliance has arrived.